What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. I want to get my reaction to this. Someone shared this with me and wanted to get my thoughts on it. But Dr. Umar, now, we know he has his issues, okay? And we also know multiple things can be true at the same time. But he definitely can be hitting the nails on the head. He can be right on the money when it comes to things. And that's the thing. It's like, no one is perfect, but damn, how can you be so wise, but then, make some other problematic decisions? Like, we known him to be all about this education for the black children, and he wanted to build a school and getting all of these donations and things like that. But it's like, but where's the school? But I'm not going to go into all of that because this isn't about that. But if you know, you know. But he was asked about Vanessa Bryant. We know she is Kobe Bryant's widow. He was asked about Michael Jackson's children and things like that. And I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it. This is from the Art of Dialogue YouTube channel. He had a sit down with them, and he made a lot of great points. But I'm just going to go ahead and get into it, and then I'll share my thoughts as it goes along.
And speaking of Whitney Houston, you feel like she was killed, right?
Yes. Whitney Houston was murdered because she was no longer of value to the music company that owned her. Whitney Houston was no longer of value to the music company that owned her. Whitney Houston wanted her masters. She wanted her publishing. She wanted an audit on her money, and she was not going to get it. Here's the question that got to be asked. You're at the Los Angeles Hilton, I believe. That's a 5-star hotel. There's cameras on every floor. Whoever went into Whitney Houston's hotel room to take her life, it's on camera. Who had the power to tell the owners of the Los Angeles Hilton or Las Vegas Hilton, I think it was Los Angeles, who had the power to make them confiscate that Whitney Houston murder video showing the murderers entering the room? It had to be somebody with a lot of power. I believe it was somebody from Whitney Houston's label. And I believe that somebody allowed the Grammy party to continue while Whitney Houston's body was upstairs dead and floating in the tub. Whitney Houston was murdered. Michael Jackson was murdered because he was no longer of value to his company. He owned half of the Beatles catalog. He did not plan on selling it. The reason he was going to go on tour was to make enough money to satisfy the debt that his music company put him into, and he was put into that debt with his Invincible album. They sabotaged the Invincible album on purpose, putting Michael Jackson into debt so he'd have to give them back the Beatles catalog. Owning the Beatles catalog basically made Michael Jackson 50% owner of that music company, and they hated him for it. How dare you manipulate your way with your economic genius, Michael Jackson? With your economic genius, how dare you manipulate your way into 50% ownership of the most powerful music company in the world? They murdered Michael Jackson. He should have never come back to the LA Staples Center to practice for those concerts. He was living with his brother in Dubai. He should have stayed his ass in the Middle East. Michael Jackson is my all-time favorite recording artist. Tupac Shakur is my all-time favorite rapper. Whitney Houston is my all-time favorite female vocalist. And all three were murdered by the music industry with complicity from the white power structure and the FBI. Prince was murdered because Prince didn't want to turn over his unpublished music to that record label, and they manipulated him into this agreement that basically said, if you let us remaster the 25th anniversary Purple Rain album, if you let us remaster the 25th anniversary Purple Rain album, we're going to give you back all your publishing. That was nothing but a setup for a takeout. He never got the publishing back. Well, they might have gave it back to him, but soon thereafter, he ended up dead. And from what I last heard, that same company that murdered Prince, they now have most of his unpublished music. And you do know that Michael Jackson's estate sold a sizable portion of Michael Jackson's catalog, back to the company that murdered Michael Jackson. And on that Michael Jackson note, did you just see how his so-called son, the white boy Prince Michael, is not willing to give Mother Jackson, Michael Jackson's mother, needs some money, and Michael Jackson's fake Caucasian son won't give his black grandmother any of his so-called father's money.
I want to pause right there for a minute, because when he said his fake Caucasian son, listen, we know what we know, and the truth of the matter is, whether he adopted the kids or not, if he adopted them, then those are his kids. We may not like it, but clearly Michael had issues, and I don't know if he really had vitiligo or whatever, but he clearly had issues, okay? Because none of his kids look like what he used to look like when he was a kid. So we know that clearly he has issues. But, you know, that's what happens when people really think superficial wise. It's like the legacy that you left it really for people that don't look like what you used to look like, even if you really, you know, or later on didn't want to look that way. So now where it stands is like Dr. Umar Johnson said, but actually what I last heard is the IRS is holding up money so that actually none of them are getting the money right now. So that could actually be the karma for the oldest son saying, look, I'm done with this court battle. I don't want you to have to, you know, be using any more of this money for that. So I'm saying, no, I don't want you using any more money. So I'm not giving you any more. I don't know the full story, but yeah.
That's happening right now.
You for real?
Yes, the white boy won't give his Michael Jackson's mother no money. They in court right now. And this is why we got to stop the bunny. Yes. Yes.
That's disgusting.
It's crazy. How you ain't going to take care of that man's mother? How you ain't going to take care of that man's mother? But I'm going to go to Vanessa Bryant. Same offense. No disrespect to Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's widow. But Kobe's mother and father just sold his NBA championship ring. They just sold it. Why? Because they need capital to live. They're elders. They need some money. From what I've heard, Vanessa Bryant ain't giving them a dime. Kobe Bryant left her almost $1 billion, and you mean to tell me that you don't have enough decency, enough respect to float Kobe Bryant's mother and father $1 million? Even if it's one time, Art. Even if it's one time. I don't really like y'all. I don't really mess with y'all. Y'all son told me not to be bothered with y'all. But because you are his parents, because he would have never existed without you, because if y'all don't give birth to Kobe Bryant, he never becomes my husband. I'm never in this financial position. Because of that, let me give you $1 million. Let me throw him $5 million. I'm not giving you no more, but I'm going to give you $5 million, but you can't come back again. Can we agree on that? Can we sign a non-disclosure? I'm going to give you this $5 million, but y'all can't come back. Fine. Give us the $5 million. She won't even throw them $1, bro. And then people get upset with me for being against interracial marriage. Listen, I'm not against white women. I'm not against red women, brown women, or yellow women. I am against the transfer of wealth out of the black community to white people, taking enough from black America. Why are we marrying Asian women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? Why are we marrying white women? Why are we giving our wealth to them? We don't have enough as it is to rebuild Black America. And you out here marrying women who you know going to take you to the cleaners when you're no longer a celebrity.
Listen, those are just facts. You can say what you want, and I'm not going to get into this back and forth battle with anyone. I'm grateful that I know the truth. And I'm also grateful, for me, it's not even about the relationship thing, but I'm grateful for what I have. And I'm grateful to be in a relationship with my best friend that I've been married to now for 25 years, that loves me, loves who I am as an African American woman. And that's all he, that's all he wants. But unfortunately, there are a lot of men that look like him that are color struck when it comes to, I gotta have this person, I gotta be with this type of person because I'm successful. And that is just really strange, because if things don't work out, where do you think that money's going? They ain't giving it to your family that look like you. And so the things that Dr. Umar Johnson is saying is absolutely facts, whether people like it or not. And for the guys who want to say things about the African American women that are, dating others, let's just be clear. Yes, there may be some that's all they see it for, but the majority of them that do, they're doing it because they are doing it as another option versus that's their only choice. Because a lot of them feel there either aren't enough to go around, and that actually kind of is true at this point, because a lot of them are either already in relationships, or they're gay, or they're just no good. You know what I mean? So you have to go with other choices. But if they had the option, a lot of them would prefer to be with someone that looks like them, speaks like them. They would have children with them so that the children would look like, so so when it comes to this factor of the interracial dating, a lot of the Black women do it because they feel as if, they have to at this point. They have to look at other choices and other options. Whereas a lot of the Black men, when they have substance, that's where they go, like he says, with the Caucasians, the Asians, the others. And so when either they die, like Kobe Bryant, or they're no longer in a relationship, they're going to take you to the cleaners, and that money is going to enhance their lifestyle and their community. It's not going back to yours.
When you no longer got any money. Look at Michael Strahan. I just read an article the other day that Michael Strahan's white ex-wife, who already received $16 million, I believe was the amount, in the divorce settlement, plus a certain monthly allotment, she said that's not enough. She wants more money. And then I read some time back that RG3, the former NFL quarterback, he married a snow bunny, divorced her. She took a sizable chunk of his wealth. She wants more money. Tiger Woods' girlfriend sued him last year for putting her out the house, and she was not even his wife. What are we doing? What are we doing? When you are no longer making that money, these white women leave you, and they're going to take as much as they can get on their way out the door. But compare that to what Black women get. Did you see what happened when Robert De Niro divorced the Black woman, or when the Black woman divorced Robert De Niro? She did not get half his money. Robert De Niro's ex-Black wife did not get half of his money. You know what the courts gave her? $1 million a year. You're going to get $1 million a year until you get married. The minute you get married, you will no longer collect from your ex-husband. We don't benefit from interracial marriage. And here's my question, Art. If white people love us so much, if they got all this love for Black people, why is the bedroom the only place they can show it? Why is behind closed doors the only time we see the love that white America professes for us? Why we don't see it in the classroom with our children? Why we don't see it in the courtroom where we're being sentenced to twice the amount of time in prison for the same offense as white people? Why we don't see it in the banks when we're looking for business loans and home loans? Why we don't see it in society?
Listen, he's speaking nothing but facts. Nothing but facts. Whether people like it or not, acknowledge it or not, it is the truth.
Being murdered indiscriminately by white mass killers and white police. If white people love black people so much, why don't we see it anywhere else beyond the bedroom? We ain't nothing but a fetish. We ain't nothing but a pet. We ain't nothing but something for white folks to have a little bit of fun with. And when they done with you, they drop your ass off and take everything you got. It's not worth it. But we can't stop because the low self-esteem of black men, dictates that we get a white woman in order to feel better about ourselves and more equal to the white man.
Facts. And a lot of them are not going to like it, but that's just facts. The low self-esteem of black men. Point blank and period.
And speaking of marrying an Asian woman, how you feel about Jeezy divorcing his wife?
I read something, and shout out to Jeezy. I hope he comes out on top and gets his daughter. Shout out to Jeezy. What I read was there was a clause in the prenup, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but if memory serves me correctly, there was a clause in the prenup that says she could get half or something to that effect if he engages in extramarital affair. If he commits adultery, it nullifies a part of the prenup that prevents her from taking half. And so she's making the argument, at least from what I'm hearing, she's making the argument that Jeezy cheated on her. And because he cheated on her, she should now have the right to go after most, if not all, of his assets. I hope that's not true, but that is the report. Like I said, I stand in solidarity with my brother Jeezy. I hope he comes out of that situation, but it's never a good thing to date outside your race or marry outside your race, because when it doesn't work out, do you want your black daughter being raised by white people who don't like black people? Do you want your black son being raised by Asians who don't like black people? Do you want, your black children raised by Arabs or East Indians or Latinos who don't like black people? So you got to consider the fact that half of the marriages in America end in divorce. So if half the marriages end in divorce, mixed race marriages as well. So what are you going to do when your black son is being raised by a white mother who just married a Nazi as a husband? So now your black son is living in a house with a Nazi as his stepdad. These are things that you got to think about. I wish my brother Jeezy well. And I just think it's just another example as to why we need to stick with our own. I love black women. I'm for black women. I'm always going to defend black women. I don't care who don't like it. They are our natural, God-given mates. They are who we are supposed to be with. We are not supposed to be mixing our seed because we are the chosen ones. And the chosen ones should only be reproducing with other chosen ones. It don't make us better than nobody, but we're different from everybody because we're the original man and woman, and we should not be mixing our seed outside of our kingdom.
Listen, he spoke nothing but facts when it comes to the low self-esteem of black men. And you have all of these guys that do these podcasts and these social media posts and rants against black women. You don't see other ethnicities doing that about the women in their community. You just don't see it. If you see someone doing something like that, what you see is them talking about that one person that they are ranting about. They're not talking about every woman in that collective. They're talking about their ex-girlfriend or their ex-wife or, whatever. They're not talking about all of them. But you have these black men that sit and they bash black women. It's so weird. It is so weird to see that. But again, it falls back onto their low self-esteem. And so he needs to, and they probably won't listen to it, but he needs to be going to them directly to speak to the guys that do this type of stuff. Again, like I said, they probably wouldn't listen to him, but if you make the attempt, at least you've tried. Especially if they're the ones that are out here making money off of doing stuff like that. Now, I have heard that type of stuff here soon, and I hope it is true, will be wrapping up because they're seeing it as more like bully and hate speech. I know those guys, Fresh and Fit, they had gotten and grown huge on YouTube, and they got demonetized. And then they were begging their followers to send them money and support them in other areas. I don't know if it's really working out for them in that way. I hope it's not. But it's just really disgusting. And then one of the guys is not even black. He's an Arab. But I'm just saying, it's really, really true that ultimately it speaks to the low self-esteem of black men. And when people want to blame women for the ills of the African American community and society and things like that, it's just really strange to me. Now, Dr. Umar Johnson, like I said, he's not perfect, and he doesn't say a lot of things that are, I believe, the truth or that I agree with. Because one of the things that he does say is that the government conspired to take black men out of the homes by giving black women housing, Section 8, food stamps, and welfare. That's bullcrap. First of all, they weren't passing any laws back then that were solely benefiting African American women, period. Any of those things that were done under that presidential administration many years ago was done to benefit white women, period. And if black women by proxy benefited from those things, then that's what it is. But any man that is a man and he is taking care of house and home and his responsibilities, no governmental agency is going to be able to drive him out of his home. And no woman is going to say, nah, man, I don't want you around. I would rather wait on this food stamp check, this welfare check, and this government subsidy for living in the projects or wherever you're living. So you got to go. I don't believe that. They utilize those systems and services and social things because they didn't have any choice, because the men left and walked out. So don't blame the government for men making those choices and men making those decisions. Period. It just does not, it just doesn't work out that way. I won't ever agree with his thoughts on that. That's just not true. But what he was saying in this sit down, 100% facts. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, and you can let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section, guys. So thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye. Don't wanna talk, don't wanna see, don't wanna